So again, my name is Jeff Dousharm, and as Deb mentioned, I was a UNL alumni as well, like you all, not too long ago. Maybe a little bit longer, I'd like to say. And so what I'm going to talk about today, she mentioned leverage. We're going to talk about that. It's one of the things I figured out in business and in my life, trying to figure out how to overcome challenges. Who would agree that today versus, I don't know, 10 or 20 years ago, there's a hell of a lot more stuff working against you? Everybody else agree with that? Raise your hand, please. Yeah. There's a lot more going on. There's a lot more media, there's a lot more challenges, a lot more things that you have to compete with, and it kind of gets overwhelming. So one of the things I always looked at is how do we build that lever to give ourselves an advantage to do more. Now, we'll talk a little bit about philosophy here in a little bit. But how many of you ever woken up confused, like, gosh, I've had no sleep, or I don't know where I am, or you're traveling, you end up somewhere else, or you're confusing, and you're not even sure if you're awake or if you're dreaming still. You ever had one of those type of things? You know, you kind of sit there waking up. Wow. That ring is never supposed to be on. There we go. And so, if you ever wake up, you're kind of not sure what's going on, you'll say, oh, I need somebody to pinch me. You know, I don't know if I want to pinch me, but there's one time that I woke up, but I didn't need a pinch from anybody else, because I kind of had one of my own already. And that pinch was actually a needle going in my arm again. And so I look down and see bruises and marks where a whole bunch of other needles had been before. And after that pinch from the needle, I started going through a little bit of a daze. I start squinting, thinking. I look over my other arm, bruises all the way up and down my arm, a lot of needle marks. I start squinting some more, trying to figure out what's going on. I look down, I think, wow, it looks like there's holes in my stomach. Some are actually shiny. I think, that can't be real. I don't remember studying that anatomy. And I start squinting a little more and trying to figure out what's going on. My mind's kind of swimming. So I think, well, what are those? I start poking at these shiny things that I see on my stomach, these holes I see. Every time I poke them, it hurts. It hurts really bad. But apparently I'm a slow learner, so I kept poking them. And the more I poke them, the more pain it caused. And it's amazing, pain can cause a lot of clarity, bring a lot of clarity in your life, whatever you're doing. It'll wake you up real quick. Well, that brought me back to my senses, and I realized what exactly was going on and how I had gotten where I was. I wasn't real happy, but it was my reality to face. Now, this isn't some story about a drug addiction or some rock star cocaine addiction, something like that. I was actually in the hospital. I had staples. Those shiny things and holes are staples all the way down my midsection, all the way across, were holding me together. The holes in my arms and the needle marks and bruises were from repeated blood draws and infusions and drugs that had been shot up into me to keep me alive. And so it was kind of like vampires were visiting me a few times a day. By vampires, I mean nurses trying to save me. And so I remember how I got there. I had lost my father to cancer. I had lost my fiancée to a limitless amount of things you can do wrong with a person. And then my business was almost financially destroyed because of things that were going on in my life. So I was at a real low point. And so that's kind of a rude awakening sometimes, and the drugs that were going into these painkillers and nails from the surgeries kind of make it hard to figure things out. So each time I woke up, it was like a new adventure. It was a new time trying to figure out what was going on. And so I tried to sit up, because apparently I have the memory of a goldfish. And from poking those staples that were here, that hurt real bad, it might not be a good idea to try to sit up. So I tried, and ended up falling back down to the bed like somebody hit me with a sledgehammer. So I settled for looking around like a bobblehead, trying to look around, see what's going on. And over to the left, I see my mom sleeping on a couch. I think she'd been there for a few weeks. Visiting hours don't really have a meaning to a mother when their child's in the hospital, even if they're an adult. I think the staff would have had a better chance of getting a grizzly bear out of my room than getting my mom out. I look over to the right, and my friend is sitting over there, Rick Ellis, who's my best friend. He actually lives in Sugar Land, Texas. He had flown up to be there for me when I went through all of this. And he's now laughing at me because he kind of saw this happen. Saw me wake up, look around confused, and try to sit up and slam back in the bed. And of course, he's laughing now and calls me something I probably shouldn't repeat. But that's kind of what friends are for, right? So that's where I was. But apparently I made it through it, even though doctors told me there was a pretty good chance I would die. In fact, they told me that several times, or several different times I was in the hospital. But obviously I didn't just disappear because I'm still here today. But that taught me something and made me realize something. Going backwards to me. When you go from thinking you have all the time in the world, we all think we have this much time. And we realize we only have this much time. And in my case, I realized I might only have that much time. That changes your focus and priorities. And what it does is all those things you said would be someday, or one day I'll do this, or I hope to do this, those become a real big priority if you want to get anything done, because you don't really know how many somedays you have left in your life. One of my favorite quotes from a movie, there we go, from the movie Rocky says, "The world ain't all sunshine and rainbows. It's a very mean and nasty place, and will beat you to your knees and keep you there permanently if you let it. You, me, or nobody's going to hit as hard as life, but it ain't how hard you get hit. It's about how hard, it's not about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much can you take and keep moving forward?" That's how winning's done. You see, I went through those catastrophes in my life. I lose my father, losing my fiance, losing pretty much everything I had, almost being financially destroyed. And then I had a huge medical case where I was fighting ulcerative colitis for several years. It got to the point where doctors told me that if I didn't have major surgery, that within a few months I'd be in chemotherapy fighting cancer, because I had cell dysplasia, which is when ulcerative colitis starts turning towards cancer. And so it wasn't a real great option to have, but it's what I had to deal with. So you can either sit there and play the victim, or you can do something about it. So a little more about me. There's my parents back in the 70s when the sideburns were really in, apparently. And so growing up, I was kind of an outsider. Has anybody ever felt like I'm an outsider, whether it's here or at school or other homes like the community? I know I was, because I moved a lot. My dad was in the Navy, and what that means is two things. One, we didn't have a lot of money, and two, we moved a lot. So I was always the new kid. I was always the one that hadn't been around for 3, 4, 5, 10 years with every other kid in school, and so that meant I didn't fit in real well. And sometimes that's okay. There's me at Disney World with my dad and uncle when we were there with the Navy. We were stationed in Orlando. Apparently back then it was very in to buy hats that were way too big for your head. That was just in case it grew one day. And so moving around a lot, as I mentioned, I didn't really fit in, but I always tried, sometimes tried a little too hard. There was me after high school. With all my friends, we rented actually a hotel, so we're checking out some colleges that we actually saved up and rented a hotel, so we thought we were really cool. And it doesn't really work out that way sometimes when you look back. So that's kind of where I was and where I came from. I lived all over the United States. I actually had no intention of staying in Lincoln. But once I was here, I really liked it and decided to stay. So, as Deb mentioned, I own a number of companies. In fact, right now I own and operate 18 different companies that I have an active role in, either as the sole owner or partner, and have some kind of management and ownership role, not just as a stockholder. When people see that, or people talk to me, work with me, they always ask, well, how do you balance all that? How do you run that many things and have any kind of sanity? And my answer really is just 3 simple words. And these are the 3 things that I figured out that have now put me in the top 1% of entrepreneurs in the United States. It's time, team, and tools. And what that is just a structure of 3 categories I put together to figure out what are the things I have to do. Remember we talked earlier, there's so many things working against us. What can we do about it? What can we do to overcome those things and give ourselves an advantage? We're going to talk about each one of these a little more. But what those 3 things go together to make, was what I wrote called the lever. I mentioned that at the beginning. The lever is about the idea of how to leverage your time, team, and tools to dominate the competition. It doesn't matter if it's in your business, doesn't matter if it's you trying to get hired by somebody else, run your life, whatever it may be, it's how to overcome those things. You know? One of the things I like to tell people is that life is competition. Whether you want to admit it or not, life is competition. You competed to get into this school. You compete for scholarships. You compete to get a job. If you own a business, you compete with every other business trying to get your customers money. Everything we do is competition. If you have a boyfriend, girlfriend, spouse, you compete for them too. Everything we do. So if you don't realize you're competing, you're going to lose. You're going to lose bad. And so when we realize that, we find ways to win. So who needs a lever? You ever felt like that? Get frustrated, things going on, whether it be here, school, home, business, whatever it may be. We all get frustrated from time to time. Like I said, there's so many things working against us, we got to find things to work for us. And when it comes down to it, we're the only ones who can do it. If you're sitting around waiting for somebody else to do it for you, whether it's a teacher, a parent, a friend, expect your boss or even your business partner to do anything for you, it's not going to happen. You got to do it for yourself. And when you figure that out, you start taking some big steps to make an improvement, make a difference in your life. You know, when I teach this to business owners and entrepreneurs and even Fortune 500 companies, we talk about the life cycle of a business. And a business or a career is really the same thing. You know, they start off and try to survive, then they try to get sustainability, and then they hit a plateau. When they hit that plateau, one of 2 things usually happens. They die, Their career, their business, their product, whatever it is, dies off. Becomes irrelevant, and the company is broken. The career is over. Or it sits at a plateau. They keep going right where they are. They try to do more and more, but can't get out of that level. They can't break free of that plateau, break through those barriers, and get to a different level in their company. They want to open another location, but they can't do it. They want to expand. They can't do it. They want to make more money in their business. They can't do it. They want to hire somebody so they don't have to be there every single day change the business, but they can't do it. What got them to that level won't get them to the next level. And so they have to figure out new tools, new strategies, new ways to get things done. And like I said, the same is true whether it's your business or whether it's your career. If it's your career, you're a business of one. Think of it that way. When you sell yourself, sell your service to somebody else, think of yourself like a business. When you run it that way, you realize you're in control. If you work for somebody else, you're choosing to. I hear people say, oh, I hate my job, I'm stuck in my job. It drives me insane. If you hate your job, quit. Everybody else is sick and tired of hearing you whine. So go find something you like to do and get hired there. You're in charge of that. You're never stuck somewhere. Now, I got a note the other day from people making money doing different things. There's a lady in South Korea right now that makes $9,000 a month online with a camera. People pay to watch her eat. Yeah. I'm like, really? I looked into it. Yeah. They're into this food voyeurism. So they watch her cook and they watch her eat. And they pay money every month to watch her do it. She's getting $9,000 a month to eat on camera. So don't tell me there's something you can't do to get paid. I've got 2 kids in one of my programs. They run a skateboard camp. You know, we're not East Coast, West Coast. We're in the middle of the Midwest. They run a skateboard camp, and they each make about $3,000 or $4,000 in one day every time they do it. One of the kids paying them. They're only 16 years old, running a skateboard camp, making thousands of dollars. So there's things you can do to get paid. It's just the idea of choosing where you want to be. So what is a lever? Well, a lever is one thing that changes everything. The whole idea is finding something that gives you an unfair advantage. If we're going to compete, you got to play to win. So whatever it is, you have to find those things. What is it that gives you an advantage? My idea of the lever is leveraging time, team, and tools together. That's one of my strategies. There's a lot of other things that can be a lever. Think about it this way. If you're trying to take apart this room, try to do it by hand, it's not going to go so well. If I hand you a crowbar, which is a good example of a lever, it becomes pretty easy to rip things apart. Sometimes even fun. So the idea of a lever is finding something that gives you that unfair advantage. What are the things that have changed? Think about it this way. How many of you have a cell phone, a smartphone with you right now? Raise your hand. Okay? You think that might have changed a few things since before we had How many of you remember when we didn't have smartphones? Okay, good. So you're not that young yet. I talked to a high school group and they go, what do you mean there's something without a smartphone? Phones didn't always have Google, you know? And so that's something that changed a lot of things, right? It gives us a lot of different tool sets. You know, you go back just, I don't even know when smartphones even came out. It wasn't that long ago though, right? 10 years, whatever, 10, 12 years. That was a lot different game. So when things change, you have to upgrade your tools to be able to play that game and be able to win. You know, the whole idea is, we're not trying to suggest that you change who you are. It's just one more piece of that puzzle. If you're trying to get that job, what's one more piece of the puzzle that you can do to make a difference? If you're trying to stand out, if you're trying to get something to stand out in your business, or to get your business running, and not be like most businesses which fail, what's missing in that puzzle? Sometimes it's just that one thing that if you put it in, it completes the picture. It completes what you can do. You know, I was interviewing somebody on the radio when we were working together the other day, and we talked about the fact how many people coming out of college are having such a tough time getting jobs. Even though they have great degrees, they come out expect to make 50, 60, 80 grand and a degree in their field, and they can't get a job. It's not that there's not jobs available. There are, but they're getting beat by other people. They're getting beat by people 10 and 15 years older than them sometimes, and they're getting beat by people that are less qualified. So you go into a technical field or a skilled field, getting beat by people that are less qualified. How's that happen? Well, it's real simple. They had that extra piece. They knew what to do to get that advantage. And when you can do that and stand out, and you can package yourself better, or promote and market yourself better, we understand how to make that happen, your technical skill set is actually less important. You know, my degree, my undergrad was actually in engineering. And our professor at the time flat out told us, within 5 years of you entering the engineering field, what you know technically will be less than 10 and probably less than 5% of your job and what your success depends on. Your real success will depend on your ability to communicate with others, position yourself, and play well with others by being on teams. And if you can't do those things, it doesn't matter what you know. If you can't communicate right and work well with others, it doesn't matter what you know. That kind of hit me hard being in engineering. I went into engineering because I didn't want to deal with all the foo-foo stuff. You know, I wanted to do math and science, all really nerdy things. But what you realize is no matter what your degree field, no matter what your technical expertise, it's not enough, especially today. And we say it's harder today than ever. It used to be being good was good enough. Now it's not. So there's all these ideas and opportunities for us. I like to compare them to doors. And whether it be doorways to a career, doorways to open another business, to open your first business, or just to get better. Whatever it is, there's a lot of opportunities. It used to be traditionally, our parents and our grandparents, they had one path. You do this, you do this, you do this. You go to high school, come out and get a job, or you go to college, then come out and get a job, and you stay there for 30 or 40 years, you get a gold watch, you retire, and you get paid, right? That was always the traditional way to do it. That doesn't work anymore at all. We've got to find a lot of other ways to get to our goal. You know, a house has a front door, but it also has side doors and back doors, and sometimes those are a lot easier to get into to get to the goal you want to get to. So by realizing that and realizing we have more opportunities than ever, it is harder than ever, but we have more opportunities than ever before. It's just a matter of choosing one and understanding what we want. One of the things I tell people is unlearn. Have you ever seen that before, by the way? Does anybody know what movie that's from? Might be a little too young, though. You ever find it's called Higher Learning? It's the last slide, last thing you see in the very end of the movie. It's talking about unlearning things. You know, we pick things up in school, and our friends, everybody we're around, that are wrong. There's social stereotypes. There's all kinds of things that we do, even in how we position ourselves during the job market now. There's some things that from year to year get outdated. Things that you were supposed to do 5 years ago aren't the right way to do anymore. So we have to take those things we used to do, or our parents used to do, and realize they're not necessarily wrong, they just don't work now. So we have to unlearn some of those things that we've picked up or thought would be a good idea. So let's break down those three things I talked about. There's time, team, and tools, right? So time, to me, is your why plus discipline. An easy way to explain that is your why. That's why you're doing it. Let's make this real simple. How many of you, if you saw a building, you walked out of class, you saw a building on fire, would actually run into that building? Anybody do that? No, probably not, right? Okay, now let me reframe that. You walk out and see a building burning, and someone from your family, your mother, father, brother, sister, kid, whatever it may be, is in that burning building. Now how many of you run it? That's a whole different story, right? Yeah. So when your why is strong enough, you do things that you normally wouldn't. And so it's about having that why for your career, having that why for your business, or whatever you might do. And when you're focused enough on that, it becomes part of your identity. You know, you hear people, especially this time of year, trying to lose weight, right? I go to the gym. I go to 2 different gyms, actually, and it's kind of annoying. You get a whole bunch of people in there that you know aren't going to be there in 3 or 4 weeks. But it's kind of cute to see them try. It's like, oh, you're going to try again this year and fail in 3 weeks. Great, good job. Go home. So the idea is their why isn't strong enough. They're just focused on the task. They think, I just have to work out. No, that's not enough. Okay? There's a whole bunch more that goes into it. But most importantly, if you just focus on the things or the tasks, you'll fail as soon as you run into an obstacle. You won't get back up. But if your why is strong enough, it's not about the task, it's about who you are. If you start telling yourself, I'm someone that's going to be healthy. I'm someone that's going to live 10 years longer. I'm someone that's going to get or is in better shape. So if you start focusing on that, then it's not about, oh, I'm tired, I don't want to go to the gym. It's about, what would a healthy person do? I'm getting my butt to the gym. That's all there is to it. You know, because if you can't do little simple things like that, what happens when you have an assignment in school, for that matter, a project at work, and, oh, I'm sleepy. Yeah, too bad. Suck it up and get to work. Because if you can't, you're going to get run over by people that can, and that will. Because their why is strong enough to run you over. There has to be something in your life that you're willing to run through brick walls for. That you're willing to do whatever it takes. If it means you stay awake for 3 days straight without sleeping, without eating, you do it. And when you find something like that, that's the area you need to work in. If you're working for a paycheck, it's not going to be enough. If you're working for a paycheck in your business, it's not going to be enough. It has to be about something that plugs into your why somehow. It has to plug into who you are and what your identity is. For me, that big turning point was when I mentioned I was in the hospital. Oops, here's again. There we go. I usually bring this with me, actually, but thanks to United Airlines, I don't have it anymore. But this was something that was a real issue for me. As I mentioned, I was in the hospital. I had ulcerative colitis. I had major surgeries. And while I was there, finally, the nurses came to me and told me that I had to get up and walk. And I was in so much pain. I had really been depressed and was focused on all things I had lost. And I said, I don't want to. He said, no, you got to get up and walk. You got to get your body moving a little bit. You have to try to walk. You have this walker. I'm like, I don't want to use a walker. I was already ashamed of the fact that I had a disease. I was already ashamed of the fact that I was in the hospital. I was ashamed of the fact that I had lost my fiance and that my business was being destroyed. I wasn't in a good place at all. And here's this little nurse trying to tell me to get up and walk. Because all I could do not to say some certain choice words. So I just kept resisting. Finally, the nurse left. And the doctor comes back. And the doctor said, maybe you don't understand. You need to walk. I said, I'm fine. Maybe another day or two. The doctor says, let me explain again. And he goes into this long diatribe, you know how doctors are, so I'll simplify it down to about one sentence. You're going to get up and walk, or you're going to die. That's all there is to it. You see, I had not just one foot in the grave. I had both feet, both hands, my butt, and everything else in the grave already, and had about one finger holding on. That was it, whether I realized it or not. And when you get to that point, you have to face some brutal facts. When a doctor says you do this or you're going to die, you wake up real fast. You start making a decision. And at that point, it's almost like in those movies. You ever see where they start having flashbacks in their life? Okay? Mine was pretty short because I wasn't that old. But the point is, that went through like slow motion in my head, remembering and thinking of things, both good and bad. And finally I just said, well, all right. And so I kind of flipped the switch. And I started thinking about things that actually mattered to me. And if I should do this, even try or not. And so I got up and I grabbed the walker, but I stopped. And I asked the nurse who was supposed to go with me, well, what's the record? She said, what do you mean? So what's the record for walking? They said, no. This isn't about competition. This isn't a challenge. This is, we just need to walk at least one lap. And there's a circle that went around that floor of the hospital. And this is up in Omaha at Methodist Hospital. And so I said, I'm not doing this unless you tell me what the record is. I need to have something to shoot for. I said, well, just shoot for one lap. I said, no. I don't shoot for the minimum. Tell me what the record is, or I'm not doing this. So finally, the nurse said, well, I know nobody's done this, and I've heard that 13 laps are a mile. So, all right, 13 laps. So I got my walker, and I'll use the chair since I don't have it with me. When I had my walker, I also had a bunch of other stuff. I had all these things sticking out of me, and IVs. I had this bag and this little thing that I connected. Rick was moving that, so Rick was walking with me. I had a nurse walking with me. I had my mom walking with me. It was like an entourage. And so I've got all this crap, and I've got that stupid hospital gown, right? So first thing I see, I come out of the room, I take like one step out in the hallway, and there's this old guy, I don't know, 80 years old or something. Apparently he didn't understand which way the hospital gown went on. Yeah. And so basically he had to open the front, and it was wide open. And so I thought, gosh, this is going to be a lot more painful than I thought it was going to be. It kind of reminded me, if you ever go to a gym, especially like the country clubs and like that, ladies, you may not quite understand this, but just be thankful. But there's a thing that happens at country clubs and stuff, especially around older gentlemen. They're a little too comfortable in the locker room. Let's put it that way. So you might be sitting down on a bench with your locker, getting changed, whatever. Here comes some guy that decides he wants to talk to you and comes up to you, says towel around his neck. But how you doing? You know, hey, I don't know you like that. Back up, okay? It's bad. So I try to avoid some of those types of gyms. That's kind of what I felt like when I was going for this walk. As I said, this is a turning point for me. So each time I move the walker, each time I take a step, it was painful. I couldn't even stand up with all the staples in me. So every time I step, take a step, boom, put the walker down. And I stop. And I'm like, gosh, this hurts. And I start thinking, I'm my father's only living legacy. I'm all that's going to be left. I'll beat this. I take another step. Put it down. The staples are ripping. I can feel it. I can't leave my mom here. I'll beat this. Another step. I've got more to do in my life. I will beat this. Take another step. About that point, I'm almost blacked out. I kind of fall into the wall. Rick, my mom, and the nurse all try to run to me, grab me, see if I can fall down. I say, you okay? You okay? Yeah, we should turn back. No. I'm fine. I just lost my balance. I'm fine. I was completely aligned. I had about this much vision. I couldn't even see past that tunnel vision. So step after step, I kept moving. I won't bore you with the details of the next 12 and a half laps. I made it through 13 laps. At the end of the day, I got to my room, collapsed, blacked out for I don't know how many hours. Because it hurt. And I paid for that for a few days. That hurt so bad. But my point in doing it was I decided I can't be minimum. I can't even be average. It's really not good enough. I hear about people say, you can do anything in moderation. Moderation's for the weak. If you decide to do something, do it all the way or don't do it at all. So that really was my turning point where I kind of grabbed back onto my why and decided what I was going to do. And so I got out of that and started doing things different in my business. I started running my life differently. I started making my priorities more important. I started finding ways to win, to beat my competition. It wasn't enough just to survive anymore. I was going to dominate everyone in my community, in my business. I was going to start dominating other fields. I had other businesses that were totally unrelated, that are interests of mine, and decided to step into them just to prove a point. There's times when people say, well, you can't do that. Thank you. So anytime you tell me I can't do something, I'll do it just to spite it. Okay? I had people tell me, you can't build a building and lease it out to people before it's even built. Nobody would sign a lease for a building when it's just dirt. Signed up all my tenants before the building was built, was cash positive, before they broke ground. I did that again and again in different businesses I had. So I went from having those wheels to those wheels. And if you don't understand or recognize what that is, that was the last of the air-aspirated Porsche 911s that came out in 1997. It's a 993 body style, which is the one with a big rear end. Okay? And so it's a fun car. It goes 0 to 60 in about enough time to make your head snap backwards. It goes 0 to 100 in about 5 seconds, and it can top out about 170 or 180. I've done 140 on most of the streets in Lincoln with it, but don't tell me. So, I no longer have the car though because I traded it and got something else. But after getting my life back together, and after having really bad, after getting out of a really bad relationship, you realize what kind of crap you'll never put up with ever again. I started traveling more, just picture me there. I got back into my martial arts. I was able to do that even though I was told I never would again. I became the youngest 7th degree black belt in Title Rock Martial Arts International across the world. So I got things together. But that most important one is that middle picture. So I'm not just trying to pretend like I'm in GQ there. That was actually in Hawaii at my wedding to that. Okay? That's my new one. That was who I met. That's my wife, Corey. And she balanced out a lot of things in my life. And like I said, after having really bad, then having really good, I figured, you know what, I like this one a lot better. It works a lot better in your life and makes all the difference. And so the reason I tell you this story isn't just to brag about going to Hawaii or having a car and things like that. It's to make a point about time. I need a volunteer. Come on, please. Sorry I keep having to drink. My throat's really dry. All right. Thank you. What's your name? Jamie. Hi, Jamie. Nice to meet you. Come on here. All right. So I'm going to just demonstrate something real quick. Ready? Okay. Ready? Good. All right. Now throw them back to me. Oh, I must not be ready. Throw one more. Okay. Good. So here's the question. Jamie, why did you catch the balls when I threw them to you? Okay, so why did you choose to catch them? Okay, good. Here's what happened. Here's why I brought this up. This happens to us all day long, whether it's here, home, at work, at your own business, whatever it is. There's stuff, people throw the ball to us all the time, and we think it's our job to catch the ball. Okay? How many of you have ever had somebody say, hey, will you come help me on my project? Or hey, let's go drinking this weekend. Or hey, come over to my place and help me with this. Help me with this project. People are always throwing stuff at you, even maybe at work, whatever it may be. Throwing things that aren't your job, but yet you help them out, right? Here's the problem. If you keep doing that, now you're doing all their stuff instead of your priorities, and they keep throwing you more stuff, right? If you do it one time, you're going to do it again, and again, and again. One of the jokes I used to like to share with everybody, and I still do, actually, is laundry. How many of you, let me just ask you guys, how many of you have ever had somebody else ask you to do the laundry before? Raise your hand. All right. Well, good. Most of you have. Here's the clue. When you get married or live with somebody or whatever it may be, they try to get you in any way, shape, or form to do the laundry, you know how to get out of doing it? Do it really bad one time. They'll never ask you again. Okay, but the whole point I'm talking about here is being focused on what your priorities are, not everybody else's. So you've got to learn that though we want to get things done, it's not our job to always catch the ball. It's not our job to be everybody's go-to victim to throw their crap and their problems and their projects on. So if we change our mindset that way, we get back to doing what we want instead of being there when they want us. Okay? Thank you. Okay? And so when we do that, When we're able to focus that way, we have a mindset. It's one of the things I talk about. Drop the ball. We're always worried about dropping the ball. You need to do what's important to you. Do your thing. So whether you be in a cubicle at an office, at a business, where your customers want stuff from you all the time, or your staff, whether you be in a partnership, whether you be even a relationship, you need to be real clear on what your goals are and what you're spending your time on. Where you invest your time is really important. Okay? When you focus on what you want instead of when they want you, it changes things. It lets you get a lot more done. Everybody thinks, oh, I only have a little bit of time each day. You have a lot more time than you realize. You just waste most of it. We all do. It's a horrible picture, kind of hard to read. But when I was able to do that, I accelerated my business. In case you can't read that, that's a check. It's for $88,500 for 1 month. Okay? Now they're paying me $114,000 per month. That's one of my clients in one of my businesses. I'm not showing that to you to impress you. I'm showing that to you to impress upon you. To achieve really high-level things, you've got to focus more. You've got to cut out all the noise, all the pain of what you want to become, the things that are in your way, and you can overcome that by ignoring other crap, then you can get to where you want to be. It doesn't matter what it is. Look at people that are high achievers. Look at the top, I don't know, 100 or 500 people in this country. People are famous. Look at Bill Gates. Look at, well, formerly Steve Jobs. Look at Donald Trump. Look at, anybody ever watch Shark Tank? If you don't, you need to watch that. If you have any interest in business whatsoever, watch that. Most important lesson is watch what they shred people about, what people are unprepared about, what they get hammered for. But my point is, all those people that have certain things in common, we all have different personality traits. I know you guys have taken the Gallup Strengths Finder. That has nothing to do with it. There's certain traits and practices they have in common, and one of them is having a militaristic control of their time. That's a major deal. So when you can do that, civilization advances by extending the number of operations we can perform without thinking about them. This is by Alfred North Whitehead. It was actually cited in a book called Influence. If you've not read the book Influence, I would highly, and I mean highly recommend you read it. It's one of the top 10 books, most important books I've ever read. And I promise you I've read more books than anybody you've ever met in your life. I read a book at least every 2 days. New books. I go through with that. And I've been doing that for over 20 years. So that is a top book that you want if you want anything to do with sales or business. So what does that mean, automate things? Does that mean outsource things and things like that? That's a little piece of it. It's really about having systems in your life so that when you do it, you don't have to be the one that does it. You don't have to think about it. There's certain things when you get up and get ready, you're not really thinking about it. You have a routine. So by having routines in our life, we are able to stay more focused. I have one of the routines in my life, which is really weird. I must have bumped that button. I never have my ringer on. In fact, I never answer my phone. Ever. For anyone. Including my wife. She knows it. In fact, if you ever do call my phone, if you get a hold of my number somehow, the message on it says, thank you for calling mobile office of Jeff Dousharm. Sorry I cannot reach you. This is an unmonitored line. It is not monitored for any unscheduled calls, nor is the voicemail listened to. Translation, don't leave a message, dummy. So the point is, I condition people how to treat me. We teach people how to treat us. And it's not that I'm an egotistical jerk and don't want to talk to people. I want to talk to them on my schedule, on my time. So if they want to call, there's a number left they can call, which actually transcribes the message, sends it as an email to my assistant. She takes care of 90% because they usually don't actually need me. And then the stuff I do need, she filters and sends to me, and then we set something up as an appointment. Setting up appointments to have phone calls instead of having somebody just randomly interrupt you. Do most of your teachers have office hours? Usually they tell you certain hours, right? Because they don't want you showing up at any random time. It's not they don't want to help you, it's that they're busy doing other stuff, so they need to control when that happens. So why don't we do the same thing? How many of you get up extra early sometimes or stay up extra late just so you can get more done because you know you'll have less interruptions, less people bothering you, whether it's your homework, your project, whatever else it is, right? That's our quiet time. That's our, hey, most people are asleep, I'm going to get up before them and get more done. Or hey, most people are asleep or drunk, I'm going to stay up late and get more done. All right? And so when you do that, that's taking control of your time. Why not do that all day long? Now I'm not just talking about your phone, I'm talking about anything you do. Controlling your time. Controlling who you let have your time. One of the quotes I have that everybody likes that when I put on social media is, when somebody steals your time, it's worse than stealing your wallet. And so you'll say, time is money. Time is worth a lot more than money. The nice thing is, you can sometimes use money to buy time. By buying other people to do things for you, buying systems, buying software, whatever it may be. And so, there we go. Team, that's the second one. Team is both internal and external. And I mean that to your company, the business, wherever you may be. So your internal team, that's the staff. That's also the people that are around you, whether it be your classmates here, wherever else it is. There's external. This is the part that a lot of people leave out. Your external team are the people that are not directly employed by you, they're not directly your friends, whatever else it may be, but somehow you know them. Somehow you've made a connection with them. And we leave these people on the bench. If the only people really working on your team or helping you are the people that are employed by you, or employing the business with you, or directly related to you by friendship or family, whatever else it may be, if those are the only people you're using, you're leaving a lot of players on the bench that can be helping you a lot. And by the way, that's how a lot of massive action is sometimes achieved or taken. And that's how a lot of opportunities are found, is through your external team. People you have connections to, your network. I'm not just talking about on social media, though that is one good way, but anybody you've met. I've had my UPS man refer me $20,000 in business, actually over there. That was intentional. That's because of the relationship we developed with my staff, just by how we treat them. How many people have you had an opportunity to meet and you didn't capture their information? When you meet speakers or meet someone, or even if you meet a professional in town here or anywhere else, even your teachers, you should have their information. You should find them. And if they don't give you their information, go find them online. Find them on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Google+, everywhere else. Become a stalker in a good way. All right? So the more that you can connect with people and find them, there are more ways you can reach out to them when you want things done. Sometimes it's not about what you know, it is about who you know. Whether you like that or not, that's how it is. And so I put that up, that's one of my mastermind groups that we work together. These people are from all over the United States, actually one is from England. And we get together twice a year and work on projects and help each other. So that's part of a mastermind and extended network. None of those people work for me or on my team. So when you think about team, about building your team or building your network, a lot of that is misunderstanding. That's one of the old Far Side cartoons, Midville, School for the Gifted, is pushing instead of pulling. And I explained the idea of using pushing muscles versus pulling muscles. I showed you earlier, I've been in martial arts now for well over 25 years now. And one of the things you learn from martial arts is that pushing muscles are always stronger than pulling muscles. That's why if you ever watch any martial arts, maybe not movies, but in competitions or anything, we usually try to position ourselves so we can push, whether it be a joint lock, punch, a kick, whatever it may be. We're stronger when we push. Now, what does that have to do with team? Well, what that's about is trying to give. Most people, when they approach somebody, they're always looking at, what can I get from you? What can I take from you? What can you do for me? That's usually attitude, and I see a lot, especially networking events. Or people go around with a stack of business cards, and they think this is networking. They take their card and go, here's my card, here's my card, here's my card. Oh yeah, I handed out 50 cards today. I'm networking. No, you're an idiot. And all those cards just went in the trash, I promise you. And in fact, they may have looked at it, just remember your names, they never do business with you ever again. That's not building a relationship. Okay? Any of you ever show up to any social event or a party or a bar or whatever else and walk in and start hitting on every single person in the bar, just going down one at a time? Some of you think, yeah, maybe. It doesn't work, right? Okay, you don't believe me, go try it, all right? So it's the same in business. That's not how you build a relationship. You build a relationship by showing what you can do for them and taking an interest in them. If you have a conversation and you're talking most of the time, you're losing. Whoever's asking questions is in control. And when you ask questions, let the other person talk, they like you. You're taking interest in them. And the laws of reciprocity is if you take an interest in them, they take an interest in you. So whether it be someone you're trying to get to hire you, someone you're trying to make a connection with, whatever it is, when you show that you can push by giving value to them or taking interest in them or giving them a referral or figuring out if there's anything you can help them with, suddenly you're interesting. They take an interest in you and they will look for ways to help you too. So whether it be a business connection, a teacher here at school, whatever it may be, extending those connections. And when you do that, you have an easy way to do research. You want to know what the problems are? Go follow them on social media. People whine about the problems all the time. Find out what they are and look for ways to help them. Send them a handwritten card if you want. That way you really stand out. Nobody does that anymore. Less than 1% of people send handwritten notes anymore. Find ways to stand out. That's how you get people on your team working with you. There we go. This is one of the things, Jonathan, you saw him in one of the pictures. He actually is a client of mine. He's a national speaker, actually been doing it longer than I have. And when he first started working with me, he only had 1,200 followers on Twitter. Now, I bring up social media just to illustrate a point. It's not the end-all, be-all, but it is kind of important. So he was kind of a big deal in the speaking circuit. In fact, he was College Speaker of the Year 2 years in a row across all over the United States. And he only had 1,200 people following him. The guy was speaking 150 to 200 times a year and only had 1,200 people following. So he was working with companies that want to sponsor him, but they go to Twitter And so when he says he's kind of a big deal, it doesn't look like a big deal here, 1,200 people, you know? That doesn't work. And so we started working with him and showing him how to put out more value and more things to get people to follow him or connect with him. And he went from 1,200 to about 36,000 or 3,000% more reach. Who thinks if you could reach or knew or connect with 3,000% more people than you do now, that might help you? Raise your hand. Yeah. That's how you get a lot of stuff done. So here's a guy that just on one way, he can get a message, an offer, a question, and ask for help out to over 36,000 people. In fact, we work on social media each week. I track it through something called Sprout Social. He has an average number of impressions of 3.1 million per week. It means 3.1 million times somebody sees something from him. That's about getting a lot more power. That's about using your team. So, your tools, that's the final one. So tools is about systems. Developing systems in your business. How you do everything. Whether it be how I'm going to apply to get a job, or how I run my business, or how I, whatever it is. Because if you don't build a system, what happens is you get locked into your own business. If you start your own business and you're an army of one, so to speak, that's great. That's how a lot of businesses start. But then you have to get past that. If you can't ever teach somebody else how to do it or get them to do it for you, you're going to be stuck and chained to that business for the rest of your life. You also won't have a business to sell. When you try to sell it, they'll tell you it's not worth anything if you're not there. To be a real business, you have to be able to leave. In a week, or actually next week, I'm going to Austin. Week after that, next I'm going to LA, then Austin, then I'm going to Costa Rica. All of my businesses will be running while I'm gone and making money. That's a good feeling. That's running a real business. If you have to be there for it, you didn't build a business, you just built a great job. And you like it, hey, great, good for you. But what happens when you get sick or you end up in the hospital? What happens when you want to sell it? Now you're in trouble. So you have to figure out a way to make that happen, build systems to make it happen. If you're an employee, even if you're an executive somewhere, having systems of how it's done to train other people makes you more valuable. Makes you more valuable inside their company. So no matter what it is, even something as simple as Wile E. Coyote, of carrying an anvil out in the tightrope, drop it on the roadrunner, and have a roadrunner burger. All right, he's got a system. Okay? So no matter what it is, have a plan, have a system. And it has to be something that's literally in writing. It can't just be up here in your head, otherwise somebody else can't do it. Some of the tools used to be are now outdated. Some of the things that used to work. Yellow Pages. In my martial arts academy, I was pretty much guaranteed I'd make 26 sales per month just from the Yellow Pages. And a sale with me was worth approximately $2,000. So that was pretty important to me, to be in the Yellow Pages. It cost a lot, about $1,500 a month. Now, when's the last time any of you touched the Yellow Pages? I don't know if you throw it away if somebody left it at your door. Nobody uses them anymore. They're obsolete, about the dinosaur. So we have to look at our tools and what we're doing. If we get passed by other people using better tools than us, we're in trouble. This has happened to a lot of people. Blockbuster, what happened to them?
Dying.
They're gone. And they're destroyed. Here's the sad thing. They could have owned it all. The ones that came up and ate their lunch, Blockbuster had the same opportunity. But they were obstinate and want to stay in their old ways because this is the way we've always done it. Yeah, where does that get you? Circuit City, that's another one. Circuit City went under, one, because they're a sad company, but two, because they kept doing it the old way, and Amazon basically ate their lunch. Circuit City, in actually now Best Buy, who's about to go getting on that way, became the showcase, basically, for Amazon. You go look at stuff in Best Buy or Circuit City, look, all right, great, oh, there it is on Amazon, buy. You can buy it there. Now, Best Buy got smart, and they're trying to save themselves, they said they'll match it. So if you go into Best Buy and find a TV or something else, go on Amazon or anywhere else and find it, show it to them, they'll match the price. And so they got smart. If they hadn't done that, they'd probably be on their last leg right now. And so we have to look at things like that in our business and our life. What's changing? What things are changing that you better not miss? Because if you do, that's how somebody less talented than you, somebody less qualified than you, can eat your lunch, whether it's in business or a job. So there's things that people do. You know, for example, on social media. And there's people do this and everything. I just like this one to illustrate. Yeah, so anybody ever get invited to play Candy Crush like 50,000 times? I swear I'm going to punch somebody if they do that to me. They invite me again. So they get these people and they're playing games all day long. They think, oh, I'm on social media, I'm networking. You're playing Candy Crush. You're an idiot. Okay? You're wasting your time and you annoy all your friends. So, yeah, I'm sorry if some of you play Candy Crush. So you're pointing it right there. And so the idea is, what do you do in your life or at work or at job or business that's kind of the same annoyance? You know, if you call somebody and they tell you they're going to do something in a week and you call them back 6 more times in that week, you're that guy invited to play Candy Crush. Okay, so you have to figure those things out. Whether it be calling, communications, whatever it is. Figure out what tools are available and what things you're doing to make sure you don't annoy people too. Okay? So you can do it their way and get experience the painful way, which is just trial and error. And people think there's a lot of pride in doing that. And I agree there is. There's a lot of pride in hard work. But I'd rather work a lot smarter than work harder. So one of the things that I always like to tell people about, make sure they're pushing on, is Google Plus and Google itself. A lot of people think, well, Google Plus isn't a big deal. A lot of my friends aren't on Google Plus. Or my mom's not on Google Plus. That's nice. You trying to sell to your mom? Trying to sell to your friends? No, I don't care if they're on there. If you want to be relevant soon, you'll be on Google Plus. Google Plus is basically Google 2.0. They're tying everything into it. In fact, have you noticed, you can't even make a comment on YouTube anymore unless you have a Google Plus account. Of course, Google owns both. So you've got to comply with what they want. They don't just dominate the game, they are the game. They own the whole playing field as far as online stuff goes. So that's just a tool, one tool, that you've got to be involved with, whether you like it or not. For example, how many active users would you guess are on Google Plus right now? Any guesses? I'll stand here until somebody says something. 2 million? Okay, you're close. 540 million. A lot of people think that it's a ghost town. Oh, nobody's on Google Plus. 540 million. That sounds like a few somebodies. All right? And here's the next question. How many photos are uploaded to Google Plus weekly? A bunch? Yeah. 1.5 billion with a B. 1.5 billion photos uploaded to Google Plus every week. And by the way, Google Plus is tied into all the Google search and gives you a lot of advantages. If you're not using that tool, I would highly suggest you get on tonight. Even if you just use it a little bit, start using it. It's going to be a tool that gets more and more important because everything's going to be tied into it. They own this. Think of it this way. Did anybody play sports when you were a kid and have there was always a kid, even if he wasn't that good, he got to play a lot more often because his dad was the coach, right? Google Plus the same way. Even if you don't like Google Plus, and it does have some problems, it has some cool things too. That's the coach's kid. It's going to get a lot more attention, a lot more play time, so it would behoove you to be involved with it. So how long are posts relevant? Just to show you a difference. In Twitter, you have a shelf life of about 18 minutes for people to see your stuff. Facebook, about 2.5 hours, which is good. But the problem is on Facebook, in case you didn't know, you only see up to 10% of your friends. So at any one time, if you get 5,000 friends, you only see about 500 people at a time. You don't even see their other stuff unless you go right to the profile. It's how they work their ranking, because they have too much stuff and they don't want you to see it all. That's also how they're going to start pushing paid promotions and things like that too for businesses. So even if you have 5,000, it's really only 500. Google Plus, if you have 5,000, you see all 5,000. But Google Plus and YouTube is almost forever. You'll see YouTube videos and even Google Plus postings that still get hits or have people go to them. It was posted 1.5 years ago because it's still very relevant in how it's searched in Google. So that's, again, an example of a really easy tool that you can use, there we go, to get advantage. How many of you heard that you have to be top of mind? You study anything in journalism, anything in marketing, you have to be top of mind. Well, that's true, but you have to be top of mind when they're ready to buy. And by buy, they could also be hiring you. So how do you get top of mind when they want to hire you? By having a resume on their desk that day? No. If you just send out resumes, it usually goes in the trash, unless they have a need for you right now. So the way you get top of mind is you start before that. Start that relationship. We buy from or hire people we know, like, and trust. So that means you have to start earlier. Show interest in them. Start communicating with them, whether it be by email, by Facebook, by LinkedIn, whatever it may be. Find a way to make that connection to them. That way, when it comes time to hire somebody, they don't go shopping. They say, I know somebody already. Let's go to him. Let's go to her. Same thing for your business. You don't want people shopping. You want to be the go-to person for whatever they need. So that means you've got to find their pain point and solve it. Part of your position has to be, what problem do I solve? Somebody hires you as a business owner or hires you as an employee, you have to be able to clearly demonstrate what problem do you solve? What pain point can you solve for them? That's how you get hired. You make it really easy for them. So people always ask me about, well, how do I take the next step in doing like that? How do I get myself in better positions? And it's real simple. You find somebody. And when you learn how to ride a bike, your dad or your mom or somebody, your uncle, held the back the whole time. I got you. They're not going to let you fall down. That's the biggest advice I give to anybody. You find somebody to hold that bike. And I don't mean you really learn how to ride a bike. I mean you find mentors. You find coaches. Find people to do that for you. Because what happens is, you can go by the old way, which is you have to pay your dues. You have to climb the ladder of success. No thanks. I don't have time for that crap. Kick the ladder over and go right to the top. Okay? Save years and years and years of your whole freaking life. Okay? You don't have time for that kind of stuff. Find somebody that's been there, done that, and can show you how to do it. It's that simple. Make sure you're learning from the right people that are actually achieving, not just thinking about it, writing theories and writing stupid books that don't make any sense. Find people that have actually done it. I'm not just talking to me, I'm finding anybody. Find people, whatever you want to do. There's somebody that's done something like it. Find them, talk to them, figure it out. If they have a book, if they have a coaching program, if they have videos on YouTube, whatever it is, learn more. That accelerates your curve. Now instead of taking 5 or 10 years to get where you want to be, you do it in a year. You do it in 6 months. You know, I've taken people that struggle in their business for 6 and 7 years. They're squeaking by and making 20 or 30 grand. They work with me for 6 months, making 7 figures. Okay? And I'm not saying I'm not that great. I don't think I'm that great of a coach. I think I'm good. I don't think I'm great. And I know a lot of other coaches have done the same things. That's the point. Find somebody that's just further down the road than you are. Doesn't mean they're better than you. Just means they're a little further down the road. Take advantage of that. You know, in our programs, you know, mine is called Paradigm Impact Group. It's all about learn more, make more, become more. Make more isn't just make more money, it's make more of a difference, whatever else you're doing. So in my group, we actually have about 15 different coaches from all over the United States. And all of us work together to coach people with our groups. There's a lot of different groups out like that, and individual people too. You know, you get to do things like in our program, there's a magazine that comes out, there's group coaching calls, there's audio, there's what we call the M&P toolbox, which is marketing and profitability, and that's swipe files from other businesses. So there's things that we share. Most coaches do something pretty similar. You know, my program, and so do a few others, we do a cruise every year. The whole idea of this isn't just say, oh yeah, we're going to cruise. But when you get to know people in a social setting, we do some business every day, a couple hours, that's it. But then when you get to hang out with them, socialize, and make connections, all of a sudden you start meeting people that are in a field you're interested in, or someone you could joint venture with or work together in a partnership, or someone that's looking to invest, I don't know, 6 or 7 figures into a business. That might be of interest to you as an angel investor. Okay? There's those kind of relationships that happen in a more social setting. That's why around town here, if you have an opportunity, go to BNI groups, go to the Chamber of Commerce, go to LIBA, go to those social things. Someone think, well, why don't I just socialize? A bunch of old people standing on top and drinking. No, that's where more business is done. More business is done at social functions and on a golf course than in a boardroom. When you get to know people, they trust you and have real conversations with you, that's how you can get in with them. Even as a college student, looking for opportunities and connections, they will talk to you a lot. They have a lot of interest in people that are coming out with new skill sets and new ideas. So there's my contact information if you'd like to get a hold of me. Twitter, Google+, email. As I said, I don't answer my phone. So if you have questions, stuff, I'm always available for those types of things. And I thought I'd end about 15 minutes early here and take any kinds of questions that you guys might have to make sure I'm getting anything that's relevant to you. Yes?
What's your favorite business of your 18?
Right now, I think it's this. It's speaking and consulting and coaching. I've been all over the United States. Like I said, I'm going to Austin and LA to speak. To me, it's fun helping other people. I'm a natural teacher. My first business, by the way, was martial arts. I have 7 of those now. I love teaching and helping people. I went into a bunch of other businesses that are all over the place. Online marketing, actually, which this weekend is opening another business. It's a pain-free tattoo and tattoo removal shop where I have a doctor who works for me now. You have to be a doctor to have the laser, so I'm a doctor. It's not that hard to find. And we put together a business and we're open. So there's a lot of different things, but helping other people through this and helping other businesses, I really enjoy doing that. Yes?
How many of those businesses of the 18 are here in or Nebraska?
They all affect Nebraska, but some of them really hit more outside. Like, for example, online marketing. We've got about 24 customers or clients right now in Lincoln. Most of them are from outside Lincoln, outside Nebraska. 6 of the 7 martial arts academies are in Omaha, Lincoln, and actually there's one in Perth.